Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing. Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing America. I've been known by a few names, so hello. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Share my videos and stuff like that. Yeah, my official stuff, because I'm going to give the preface that I'm in a little bit of a mood. Now I'm going to start with something, and those of you who have watched some of my longer videos are going to understand that this is going to make its way around and kind of weave and swerve a little bit, but it's going to make sense. I'm going to give that preface, and I'm also going to give that the preface that I most likely will swear at some point in time. Yeah, so, yeah, just as So, before I had a dream on Palm Sunday in 2000, I've discussed this in prior videos. I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up walking around in the 5 boroughs of New York, you know, Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Brooklyn, various areas, upper and lower, and north and west sides of Manhattan, Yonkers, all that sort of stuff as far as New York City, in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in regards to Pennsylvania, Newark, Camden, Elizabethtown, the Pines, Hoboken in New Jersey, just to name a few, okay? So there was this point in time when in Washington State, okay, my son came up to me and said something, and I was like, yes, but you know, just because I did that does not automatically mean you can do certain things. You will have certain abilities in certain regards, but just because I did something doesn't mean it automatically transfers to you, okay? You don't know, no, I'm telling you, yes, I love you, but yes. So in that same regard, when I was in Crystal Lake, Illinois, before joining the Army, after I fought to join the Army, to be emancipated, to join the Army for the United States of America's Armed Forces, where I got my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 during basic training, that whole thing, I wound up being forced to have to be on the cheerleading squad, and I don't think that I actually had to try out realistically, because as soon as the cheerleaders of Crystal Lake South had found out that the school that I had gone to, where they knew I was not a cheerleader, they had gone to the state championships and won, they, not all of them, but the 3 co-captains, Joy Hoover, Tiffany Aswani, and Crystal Cook, seemed to somehow think that because I went to the school that had cheerleaders that went to the championship and won, that made me to do that. And no, I had to explain that similar sort of thing where it was like, no, that stuff doesn't transfer at all. No. You either learn how to do it and all that sort of stuff, and then work together with others in whatever way possible, or you don't. It's very simple. So, and that goes to training. So, you know, in that regard, you know, in reference to a lot of different things when it comes to the military, I didn't graduate basic training. Now, I did study a lot. I did train a lot. I did practice different things personally when growing up. However, because I didn't graduate basic training, I never claimed to be anything that was not something that, you know, I did, right? So, I met a lot of people in Illinois and various areas of Crystal Lake, Lake in the Hills, Even Chicago when I went out there, Palestine, so on and so forth. And there were these individuals in Crystal Lake that were similar in regards to the cheerleaders, where they thought that because they were in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which was 3 hours from Chicago, that somehow that made them like a Chicagoan. And no, I had to explain that to some people. Like, no, just because you live in the same state as Chicago doesn't make you a Chicago or a Chicagoan. I think it is Chicagoan, nonetheless. It doesn't make you from Chicago at all. Whatsoever. Like, look at the demographics. It's not the same at all. And there was even a couple of people that were like, yo, 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 when trying to get my attention in Crystal Lake. And it was one of those, yo, 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 I heard you from New Jersey. Yo, what up? The ceiling, the sky. Why are you talking to me like that? Yo, yo, yo. I do not have a yo-yo, and I was a bit of a smart aleck before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. Some might say I was a smart ass. A lot of ways. And nonetheless, you know, not that that has really changed, right? No, not at all. That was a rhetorical question. So, this guy with some of his friends, you know, yo, 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 we're from the hood. Where exactly is that? Are you from Chicago and transferring for like school in Crystal Lake and then going back to Chicago? No, no, no. Okay. Where's the hood? Yo, Crystal Lake, yo. Crystal Lake, Illinois is considered the hood? I don't think so. Yo, you don't know? You don't know? Yeah, I kind of have an idea of what the hood actually is. And Crystal Lake is not the hood at all. No. Not at all. And so this boy and some of his friends and a group of males, you know, yo, you don't know about Crystal Lake. Do tell. Do tell me about how hood Crystal Lake is. Yo, you don't know? You don't know? No, I do not. I have no idea where you think Crystal Lake is the hood at all. Yo, we close to Chicago, you know, and so because we close to Chicago, why are you speaking like that? Like, I'm so confused. Like, why? Yo, and then so the boy, he flashed gang signs. And he was like, yo, GD love. I have a feeling that if there is an actual GD in regards to that, I have a feeling that they probably would not like you throwing their gang signs around. Not that the police would like that either, nonetheless. I have a feeling that if there's really because it was explained to me that it was called Gangster Disciples, it was one of those, yeah, I just kind of, or I apologize, Gangsta Disciples. But the white boy that was telling me about it, he said gangster. So, um, and so, I don't think they'd like that. I don't think so. I don't think so. You don't know. It's a Crystal Lake chapter. I mean, sure, whatever. I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, we're close enough. Close only counts in two things: horseshoes and hand grenades. That's it. Although nowadays it might be a little bit expanded upon that with what the Army has been able to do with certain things. I'm just saying in that regard. So, in that similar sort of thing, I had watched as my nieces would interact the few times. So where I would see Brianna Marie, which is Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, interact with Sandra Marie Osteen, which is Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen's, both their eldest. Sandra would show up, or Sandra Marie would show up, and just be, yo, Brianna. And it's one of those, Brianna lives in Fort Worth. Where do you live? And Sandra Marie was like, Atlanta, Georgia. How close is Atlanta to Macon? And Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, oh, you don't understand. Okay. And so at one point, there was a point where Sandra Marie told Brianna Marie, yo, ATL. And it just seemed extremely odd. And after, right now, recently, within the past 20 minutes, I looked and saw the distance from Macon, Georgia to Atlanta. Now in May of 2020, looking back with 2020 vision, is one of those, yeah, no. That's not, no. I would guesstimate people from actual Atlanta would kind of probably be offended by somebody claiming to be like that in regards to Macon, Georgia. Similarly to somebody from Chicago or the gangsta, because it wasn't gangster, in being offended by the white boy in regards to, Crystal Lake, Illinois. Just saying. So, in certain similar situations, it was one of those, you don't know. It's like, I don't know what. I know there's a lot of stuff I don't know. I don't know why you're talking to me like this. Realistically, And so there was a point where, and I've discussed this in prior videos, but not this particular portion. Okay, I'll actually pause real quick and fast forward back to Washington State. And so there was a point where, when living in Vancouver, Washington, my son, my now ex-boyfriend, and I went to Clackamas, Oregon, and had gone to the car, the truck, whichever it was, to put stuff in there, and I went to push the cart back to the PetSmart or Petco, whichever one it is, in Clackamas, in the big section where it's like an outdoor mall sort of setup. And as I was walking back to the vehicle from PetSmart, in the crosswalk, it was nighttime, however, I mean, there were lights, and so maybe, even though it being dark, there's something that could something that could stand out even at night. And so, this car, it was a darker blue neon type shape, pulls up and then stops. And these two boys inside, I'm in the crosswalk. I'm just, like, you sped. Well, the boy in the driver's seat kept yip, 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 yip. I think you are mistaken, boys. And they were yip, 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 yip. Boom! Just punch straight down into the hood. Watch the ass end go. Slow down. And just walked back to where my son and my now ex-boyfriend were. My son just looked at me. He's like, "Oh my God, Mom." What? Get in the car. It's okay. Mom, you just punched that guy's car. Yeah, let him call the police. And so, in my thoughts, yes, put out an APB on what? On a female who punched my car. She what? She punched my car. Why'd she punch your car? Because I almost ran her over. What? So you almost ran her over? Yes, I did. Like, I could just see that, like, and yip, 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 yip. I need a police report because she punched my car after I tried to hit her in the crosswalk. So she punched my car and hand to hand. And so the car went like this. And then, now there's a dent in the hood and there's all this, and I gotta call the car insurance company and tell them that, so I need a police report. You need to go and find her and arrest her. You need to do that, police officer guy. Yip, 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 yip. And so I could just envision the police officer, like, trying to be all like, and just if that occurred. So another time back, so that was in 2013 or 2000, I think it was 2013. But it could have been 2014. I think it was 2013 because I think it was just before the snowstorm that apparently Vancouver, Washington hadn't had snow for a while before that happened. I think that's actually when that happened. It was just like a couple of weeks before that snowstorm. And then the landslide that happened thereafter in Washington State. And so, in 2018, when I had, very much understood the end of the relationship with my now ex-boyfriend, I had been told by one AT&T employee, female, very nice, and I don't mean in the Anna way, I mean she was genuinely nice, told me that there was a way for him to be removed from the account. He said otherwise. I had to go in to the AT&T at Tacoma Mall because he claimed he couldn't do that. The guy at the AT&T store wound up taking my cell phone to go do stuff, which is what it is for AT&T to deal with in that regard. And so, whatchamacallit, as walking towards the AT&T store from the parking lot, there is this white-ish color car, kind of similar to the shape and style of the blue one, and two little boys, just kind of run up. Jesse, my now ex-boyfriend, runs towards the store. I just yip, 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 yip from the car, and it's like, I mean, I don't know whether I should kick your car right now and just have you flip, or if I should punch the hood of your car, or what, but instead I guess I'll just flip you off and, you know, get out of your car and I'll handle you. And so, you know, when it's like, little boys, you don't know. You don't know. So, in that regard of like my ex-in-laws, see how that comes around? And so, Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen tried to claim like a double personality sort of thing, where she was hard for having grown up in Fort Worth, Texas. However, she didn't actually grow up in Fort Worth, Texas. She grew up in Louisiana. Not saying that there aren't hard places in Louisiana at all. Not denouncing that at all. No, 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 no. I very much understand and comprehend there are some very hard places in Louisiana. However, she didn't go walking around there, just saying, at all. Just saying. And so, you know, it wasn't until like her teenage years that she wound up being in Fort Worth. And so for her to claim being hard, no, not at all. And then, you know, she got knocked up when she was in college. And that's how she got pregnant with Sandra. And I've discussed in prior videos how I felt it was wrong when she told me in front of the house in Fort Worth that she thought it was funny not to tell whoever Sandra's actual biological father or their family that she was pregnant with Sandra. And so she tried to claim she was hard, but then at the exact same time say, oh, but I'm a Georgia Belle. You are. I guarantee you there are some Georgia Belles that will show you the various sides of being a Georgia Belle. And don't think that just because you like sweet tea makes you anything like a Georgia Belle. That's not the staple for them. Just saying. I don't know what the particular aspect of, but I have a feeling they can be quite dressed up and still ready to go hunting and not have a second thought either way. Could be wrong. And so, you know, when in certain regards with, you know, Sandra Marie and Brianna Marie, the two of them would go like back and forth of who was harder, and it's like, no, that's not important. So it got to the point, now this is when after I moved from San Antonio to Carrollton, Texas, where Brianna Marie, yes, she was acting up, she was doing certain things, partially because of the way she was being raised by Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, and then partially because of this back and forth between Sandra Marie and her. And it was one of those, no, Brianna, you need to be smarter. I know you're smart. I know you are. And you know I can't, like, lie. So, you know, be smarter. Be smarter. I know you can be. I know it. I know it. You're doing this for attention. You don't need that type of attention. The type of attention you need to be focused on is what's in here, not anywhere else. Don't mistake certain things. Yes, you are beautiful. Yes, you are, but beauty is only so far. You have to have the brains. So think, be smarter, like genuinely do better. I know you can. And yes, I've made jokes in certain regards because, you know, oh, Aunt Susan, you're going to be so proud of me. Why? Why am I going to be proud of you? Well, you can't tell my mom why you're going to be proud of me. And realistically, I am glad that her tattoo was something of meaning. That, like, that part I can acknowledge. The part that I had a problem with was the fact that she got a tattoo in somebody's house who was not licensed, and she didn't know what an autoclave was, and the needles didn't come out of a freshly wrapped wrapper. So, you know, it was one of those, you need to be checked for your safety and health, and I am proud of the fact that, yes, the tattoo has meaning to you because it was her son's baby footprints. The question the, the question I got in regards to when you get a tattoo, is it supposed to like wash off when you take a shower? No. Did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt. Then no, it's not supposed to wash out. No. That's not how tattoos work. Not a real one. No. Let me see. And, it was one of those, okay, and part of it had, and it was just one of those, I have to tell your mom, because you have to be checked. And I explained it to her. It wasn't like I just went and told on her. It was one of those, let me explain to you why. Because you need to understand, because I know how your mother is. And I'm not gonna, like, let you, like, think that I'm just throwing you under the bus. It's not that. It is genuinely for your safety, because there are things that you cannot get rid of. And with that, and yes, understanding certain things. However, when it comes to tattoos, you need to go to a reputable place. You need to make sure that you are getting a clean instrument each time. You need to know that the tattoo artist is sterilizing not just the needle, but the gun itself. He has to be wearing gloves. He has to be doing this, has to be doing that to make sure that you are safe. And it's not just for your safety, it's even for the tattoo artist's safety, by the way. Because even they, don't need certain things. And so she was upset, but she understood why I had informed her mom. And it was just one of those, I mean, I know you're going to get in trouble, and, you have to make your decisions for yourself. But, this is what needs to be done. So, in regards to going to Georgia in 2009, get to Macon, which is a very nice area. I didn't see anything hood when I was there. And I had brought it up to Sandra because of how she had spoken to Brianna. Flat out called her out on that shortly after arriving. And so Sandra tried to say, I'll show you how hood Macon, Georgia is. Okay, sure. We have to go out at night. Let me inform you of something. If you live in an actual hood, it doesn't matter whether it is day or night at all. If you want to claim that you're hard and you're in the hood, day or night, just letting you know. No, you don't know, Aunt Susan. You don't understand. I actually do. And she was like, no, you only know this. You don't know where I grew up. You don't know where I grew up walking around. You don't know where I grew up going to and being left by myself. Not with a babysitter in a lot of those places, not with I walked around by myself in the daytime and the nighttime. So I'm trying to let you know, I don't think that Macon, Georgia, no offense to the Macons, okay? I don't think that like it's really that hood. So her meaning Sandra Marie Osteen, her claim that Macon was hood was because it had a Waffle House. There's some very nice towns that have Waffle House. I actually really like Waffle House. Yeah, I was just saying, but okay, sure, we'll go out. And so Ariel Marie Osteen, her little sister, was like, yeah, it's so hood. Are you trying to emanate after your older sister? Please don't. You're smarter than that. And you actually have, like, I'm going to be a little bit more blunt in that regard. You actually have, like, pretty features. Be smarter. just not being rude to Sandra. It was just, it was a lot having to do with her energy. And it's just, you can actually, whatever. And so we go to Macon. We go to Macon, Georgia's Waffle House that was near, I know that there's more than one there, but the one that's near Warner Robins Air Force Base. And so they had called a bunch of their friends out there, and they're like, yeah, you gotta meet our aunt. She's like her. Okay, sure. Hey, what's going on? And all of them, why is your hair like that? I did have a career at one point, so don't think that just because my haircut and my hair color is like this for no reason. Same thing with my tattoos. Please understand that I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. I fought to be emancipated to get into the Army. So I had my career plans well before getting my tattoos, getting the haircut and sort of stuff. And it's because of the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And so Sandra Marie and Ariel Marie were like, no, it's got to be a cooler story than that. And it's like, no, it's not. And so a couple of, mainly the males, were like, well, why did you have a head injury? Well, a drill sergeant picked me up and threw me into the middle part of the bunk. That's why. I really upset that drill sergeant. Well, why'd you do that? Well, so I explained the situation in regards to the night before and being at the CQ office, and then the phone being ripped out of the wall after checking the ID and all that sort of stuff, as far as the drill sergeant's wife and all that sort of stuff, the handprint on her face as she ran out, and then being smoked. And a couple of them were like, well, what is smoking? And a couple other guys were like, well, that's this, because they had, whether they had family and military or whatever, they understood. And I was like, yeah, so from that point all the way to just before breakfast or going to the DFAC, I was smoked. And then I went to church and, well, how did you know it was Palm Sunday? And I explained, there was the folded up stuff. I have allergies as I do, so on and so forth. So I saw the folded up palm leaf as a cross, and I was like, oh, I always wanted one. I just could never make one for myself because of my allergies. And I figured, I'll go to church because I know that the drill sergeants know that I take everything seriously, and I really have a feeling that I need to go to church. So they know that it's not to get out of doing extra chores. They know it's not out of getting to do the work. And so I went, and then afterwards, finished up with the extra chores that were in the Bay Area. And then that night, that same drill sergeant came up, started smoking everyone, got to where I'm at, and then told everyone to stand at the position of parade rest while that particular drill sergeant continued to yell at me and smoke me, and had all of the female soldiers watch. And then, after a while, 45 minutes from the time I started counting. How'd you start counting? Well, because there was an analog clock on the wall, and it had the hands and stuff, and so I watched. And every time I had to get up or go down, that was whenever I had the ability to. And then drill sergeant had asked me, Private Om, why aren't you breaking? And I stupidly asked because I was 17 years old. Do I have permission to speak freely, drill sergeant? That's fine. Go right ahead. I didn't know what that meant. And not making light of it, just, I had no idea what that meant. And so I had explained, in my biological mother's uterus, I heard her asking me why I couldn't be another miscarriage, why I couldn't be another abortion. I know that she had tried multiple times. She had done all these things, and so I grew up with that after I was born. And then when I was actually born, my biological father is a first generation Chinese male. And so I grew up, if you understand the Asian culture, me being the firstborn, I was missing something, so he let me know I was missing a chromosome, and then I grew up that way. And so I had formed the drill sergeant of that, and being called a bitch, a whore, a slut, and a cunt, pretty much from in utero, and especially after being born. So, there wasn't anything, and I told the drill sergeant this. I said, there's nothing that you can call me that I haven't been called. And by my biological parents, my blood. Not try to be rude, drill sergeant. However, you can't call me a name that's worse than that. On top of that, I got beaten the way I did. You can't beat me with the metal end of the belt buckle. And then he picked me up and shook me and yelled, and by technicalities, he did not beat me with the metal end of the belt buckle. He threw me head first into the metal part of the bunk. And so that's how I got my head injury. And everyone was like, well, at least you got a good sense of humor about that. And it's like, well, I dealt with the coma, the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. One particular male. What do you mean subarachnoid hemorrhage? Well, it means blood on the brain. And so it was in the front temporal lobe. And so I deal with headaches and migraines and cognitive disorders, memory deficits. I went from college algebra, which trigonometry and calculus, to second grade math. And so, because of my headaches, that's why my hair is this short, because my hair is extremely heavy. And it's red for spiritual reasons, but also for a more feminine look. And then, each of these tattoos. Now, granted, I didn't have this one. I had the yellow one, or the golden one that's underneath. But I had this one, just not the lavender portion. I had this one. I did have all of this. From here, so from my wrist down, those were visible. And then the one on the back of my neck was visible, but not these because of the shirt that I was wearing. And then if I was wearing capri pants, then from here, this one and this one were showing, as well as that one, and that one. And, discuss certain aspects of the spiritual and whatnot in that regard. And Sandra Marie then said, oh, see how hard she is? That's where I get it from. We're not related. Don't think that what I grew up with and what I dealt with, just because I was legally married into your family, not spiritually, but legally married in, and your uncle, your dead one, is, my dead ex-husband. We were over well before he went back in. So do not think that just because of that, you have the blood relation to my son and my daughter, but not me. So do not take that. Do not make that mistake. And, oh, I'm hard just like you. No, you're not, little girl. No, you're not. No. And by the way, Ariel Marie and Sandra Marie, where is the hood? And a bunch of the boys went, oh, that's in Atlanta. Yeah, well, I figured that. These two tried to tell me that there was a hood in Macon, Georgia. And a bunch of the guys started laughing, and they were like, yeah, no, it's like an hour and a half away. And I'm like, I kind of figured. And one or two of the males, they were like, well, what would you know about the hood? And I'm like, well, I grew up in New Jersey. And instantly they went, oh, I'm like, yeah. And I grew up going to the 5 boroughs in New York as a child. Oh. And then I explained the parts of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and oh. So yeah, I have some experience in regards to what an actual hood is. And Sandra Marie and Ariel Marie, although I only used their first names at that time, had informed me that there was a hood in Macon and that they were hard because I had asked Sandra why she kept speaking to Brianna Marie the way she had when Brianna Marie actually knows what the hood is in comparison. And so for, Sandra Marie and Ariel Marie to be like, look, look, look. No, no, no. Not at all. And Sandra Marie was extremely upset. Extremely offended. And it was one of those, oh, the truth? Yeah, that can be a bitch. Yeah, the truth can be a bitch. Hey, I was born in the year of the dog by Chinese zodiac. By veterinary standards. And so, nonetheless, in regards to realistically, just because of certain aspects, no. Now, my biological father tried to say, I don't want the life for you that I had. And I was like, yes, I understand that. I get that. And he was like, but I'm going to take you to these locations. I mean, by technicalities, it's not the exact same. I can very much distinguish that. However, it's safer for you to go play outside. In whichever of the boroughs, go play outside. It's safer for you out there. Really? Have you walked these streets? Yes. Oh, okay. So, you sure? Yeah, to go. Whoa, okay. What is that song? A Boy Named Sue? Irony. Anyway, it has nothing to do with this by technicality, nonetheless. So if, Sandra Marie held a grudge along with Ariel Marie, both of them holding a grudge, well, their mama taught them wrong because of what was done to my dead ex-husband, their spiritual husband, casket, by being disrespectful and not paying attention to what I warned Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen about. And in turn, because they did not pay attention, nor did they learn, hypothetically. So if in reference to my Medal of Honor art project, they did not learn. Just because I knew how to do it didn't mean that they did. Just by watching. I mean, that'd be like what they were doing beforehand, right? And so while Sandra Marie Osteen may have, whatever, as far as her biological father's side of the family, that does not make her that. She wasn't raised that way, in that way. So she wouldn't know that way of life. At all. That doesn't transfer just by those ways. You actually have to have certain experiences, and you don't want those experiences. You know, like, for example, there are guys, now at this point, I think it's 69 Medal of Honor recipients who are still alive. Those guys, while they very much earned their Medal of Honor, I'm sure that they would very much be able to be like, yes, I did this. However, you know, prefer, you know, certain other aspects instead. Glad that the guys were able to live and we were able to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. However, would prefer to, like, just, you know, enjoy life. You know, yeah, okay, did this stuff, but, you know, that doesn't define everything. It does define a certain time of life, but not everything in every detail. And so, you know, I've never claimed to earn a Medal of Honor because I haven't earned a Medal of Honor. You know, I'd proudly be displaying that. You know, nonetheless, I didn't actually earn it, though, you know. And so while I have been respectful of, and, you know, my Medal of Honor art project, it was a multifaceted aspect to bring awareness. I didn't realize that it would bring awareness in other regards. However, it still apparently brought awareness. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean that I did what any of those guys did. That's what they did. That's one of the things I discussed when in person with people, when we would discuss my Medal of Honor art project. Yeah, they are some badass guys. They are. Their spirits, what they did. Just saying. But I didn't do it, I just did the artwork. That's all I did. I mean, that's it. You know, those guys did what they did. Those guys, you know, saved those guys' life. You know, and not being in the sexist way, being in the East Coast way, you know, those guys did that. Not me. Although I do have to admit, I'm gonna have to. This is what I'm going to end on in this regard. So I had this discussion with a couple of guys. I think they were all former military. And so I found out there were a total of 20 or 19 guys who had earned 2 Medal of Honor. That's what I found online, at least. I found that there were a total of 19 guys who earned 2 Medal of Honors. How much of a badass do you have to be? And so, from what I found online, and I know I'm about to upset some guys. So, from what I read online, in all of my research, Audie Murphy had only earned 1 Medal of Honor, but was the most dedicated, or most decorated, but yes, most dedicated, awarded military guy in the Army. And from what I read, he only earned 1. Now, I looked at what he did when I researched him, and I found out, you know, I was like, well, you know, I kind of think he earned like 4 or 5 by what he did. But, you know, in such, if that was accurate that he only earned 1, you know, I can just envision him, you know, walking in, and those who know coins and bars understand this. Get this, I don't drink. Nonetheless, not alcohol, I don't drink alcohol. Nonetheless, I could envision, you know, Audie Murphy walking in and being like, yes, I am Audie Murphy. And I am the most decorated, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, throw his coins down on the table. I can envision, like, a table of guys just playing cards. Just, you know, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, we got 2 Medal of Honors. Your turn. Just, I could be wrong. But if he only earned one, and that's accurate, and whatever, I could just envision that sort of thing being like, and those guys who understand the coin thing when it comes to military coins, you know, okay. And by technicalities, if I ever actually drank alcohol, I mean, I had 2 different 2-star general coins, but I don't drink. Just say, I mean, they were given to me for, I had my own. Like, they don't think that it was just for my son and my daughter. Like, I was given the coins as well. And so, you know, I had those coins. My coins, yeah, I proudly displayed those coins in my house in Carrollton. Nonetheless, it was one of those, yes, that's right. Too bad I don't drink. Pun intended, because of 2 different 2-star generals. You guys have a good one. Subscribe to my official channel and all that sort of stuff.